The flight to Zagreb felt like a descent into enemy territory. Magnus Carlsen and Anish Giri sat in uncomfortable silence, knowing they were about to confront the most dangerous figure in chess corruption. But when they finally tracked down the Zagreb Master in his fortress-like mansion, nothing could have prepared them for what they discovered. Because the mastermind behind decades of chess manipulation wasn't just controlling current players. He had been using Garry Kasparov as an unwilling puppet for over 30 years. You see, what Magnus and Anish uncovered that night would rewrite the entire history of competitive chess. The Russian Chess Legacy Project wasn't just about fixing modern tournaments. It was about systematically altering the past to control the future. And Kasparov, the greatest chess player of all time, had been trapped in this web longer than anyone imagined. The Zagreb Master's mansion sat on a hill overlooking the city, surrounded by high walls and sophisticated security systems. Magnus and Anish had spent weeks planning their infiltration, using contacts from Anish's intelligence network to identify vulnerabilities in the compound's defenses. They approached through the service entrance at midnight, wearing maintenance uniforms that Anish had acquired through careful preparation. The security cameras had been temporarily disabled by an inside contact who remained anonymous for their own protection. Inside, the mansion was a monument to chess history, but not the version most people knew. The walls displayed photographs of famous matches, tournament results, and championship ceremonies. But as Magnus studied them more carefully, he noticed subtle alterations, dates that didn't match his memory, player positions that seemed wrong, even facial expressions that appeared digitally modified. "This isn't just chess memorabilia," Magnus whispered to Anish as they moved through the corridors. "These are rewritten historical records." Anish examined a photograph claiming to show Kasparov's victory in the 1985 World Championship match against Karpov. But the image contained details that contradicted Magnus's knowledge of chess history. The Zagreb Master hasn't just been manipulating current tournaments. He's been systematically altering the historical narrative of competitive chess. They found the Zagreb Master in his private study, a room lined with monitors displaying real-time information about chess players worldwide. He was an elderly man, probably in his 70s, with the bearing of someone who had wielded power for decades. But what shocked Magnus most was the figure sitting across from him at an ornate chessboard. Garry Kasparov looked up as they entered, his expression a mixture of relief and despair. "Magnus, Anish, I was hoping someone would eventually find this place." The Zagreb Master turned calmly as if he had been expecting their arrival. "Ah, Mr. Carlsen and Mr. Giri. Right on schedule. Please, sit down. There's quite a lot you need to understand about the chess world you think you've been investigating." Magnus remained standing, studying the dynamic between Kasparov and the elderly man. "What is he doing here? How long have you been holding him? Holding him?" The Zagreb Master laughed coldly. "Mr. Kasparov isn't my prisoner. He's my most valuable collaborator. Have been for over 30 years. The revelation hit Magnus like a physical blow. Kasparov, his childhood hero, the player whose games had inspired him to pursue chess greatness, was working with the conspiracy they had been fighting. "That's not true," Kasparov said urgently, looking directly at Magnus. "Don't let him manipulate you the way he's been manipulating me. I've been trying to expose this operation for decades, but every time I get close, he demonstrates how completely he can destroy my reputation and legacy." The Zagreb Master gestured to one of his monitors, which displayed what appeared to be a comprehensive archive of Kasparov's career. "Gary's reputation as the greatest chess player in history is entirely my creation. The matches he won, the games that made him famous, the strategic insights that established his legend. All of it was carefully orchestrated through the Russian Chess Legacy Project." Magnus studied the archival material, his understanding of chess history beginning to crumble. "What do you mean, orchestrated?" The Soviet chess system wasn't just about training strong players, the Zagreb Master explained. It was about creating controlled narratives that could be used for political and psychological influence worldwide. Garry's victories weren't just chess achievements. They were propaganda tools designed to demonstrate Soviet intellectual superiority. Anish examined documents spread across the Zagreb Master's desk. But the Cold War ended decades ago. Why continue this manipulation? Because we discovered that controlling chess history gives us the blueprint for manipulating all intellectual competitions, the Zagreb Master replied. The methods we developed to make Garry appear invincible could be applied to any field where mental performance determines success. Kasparov's voice was bitter as he continued the explanation. Every major match I played was influenced by external factors I didn't understand at the time. Psychological manipulation of my opponents. Strategic information provided through channels I believed were legitimate coaching. Even pharmaceutical enhancements that I thought were legal supplements. Magnus felt sick as he realized the implications. How many of your victories were authentic? I don't know, Kasparov admitted. That's what I've been trying to determine for the past 20 years. Every time I attempt to investigate my own career, he shows me evidence of how easily he can destroy what remains of my reputation. The Zagreb Master pulled up files on his computer that made Magnus's blood run cold. Detailed records of every major chess match from the 1980s and 1990s, with notes about manipulation techniques used, external influences applied, and desired outcomes achieved. The beautiful part of the Russian chess legacy project, the Zagreb Master continued, is that it established precedents for intellectual manipulation that we've been expanding ever since. Politicians, business leaders, military strategists, all trained using techniques we perfected through chess. Anish studied a document that outlined the project's scope. You're saying that chess was just a testing ground for broader social engineering? Chess was the perfect laboratory, the Zagreb Master confirmed. Clear success metrics, extensive documentation of decision-making processes, and a passionate global audience that would spread our desired narratives without questioning their authenticity. Magnus realized they were looking at evidence of a conspiracy far more sophisticated than anything they had imagined. The manipulation wasn't just about tournament results or betting profits. It was about using chess as a prototype for controlling human intellectual achievement on a massive scale. But there's something you need to understand, Kasparov said, looking directly at Magnus. The Russian chess legacy project is just the beginning. He's been developing new applications of these techniques for decades. The Zagreb Master smiled, coldly. Mr. Kasparov is correct. We've been preparing for the next phase of our operations. Political decision-makers, military commanders, even academic researchers, all being influenced by technologies and methods we developed through chess. Manipulation. Magnus studied the monitors around the room, which displayed information about current world leaders, international negotiations, and strategic military planning. You're manipulating global politics? We're optimizing global decision-making, the Zagreb Master corrected. Just as we optimized Garry's chess performance, we now optimize the cognitive processes of individuals who shape world events. The scope of the conspiracy was overwhelming. Magnus realized they weren't just fighting for chess integrity. They were confronting a network that had been manipulating human civilization for decades. Why are you telling us this? Anish asked. What do you want from us? The Zagreb Master's expression became serious. Because it's time for the next generation to understand their role in our operations. Magnus, your influence in the chess world makes you invaluable to our expansion plans. We want you to become the face of our new programs. The offer came with comprehensive documentation showing how Magnus could benefit from joining the conspiracy. Financial rewards, unprecedented influence over chess development worldwide, and protection from the elimination protocols they had developed for uncooperative players. "And if we refuse?" Magnus asked. "Then you join Mr. Kasparov in his unfortunate situation," the Zagreb Master replied. "Trapped between cooperation and destruction, never certain which of your achievements were authentic and which were manufactured." Kasparov looked at Magnus with desperate intensity. "Don't make the same mistakes I made. Don't trust anything he offers. The Russian chess legacy project destroyed my ability to know the truth about my own career." Magnus realized he was facing the most important decision of his life. He could join the conspiracy and gain unprecedented power over chess, but lose his integrity and independence. Or he could fight back, knowing that the Zagreb Master had demonstrated the ability to destroy reputations and rewrite history. "There's one more thing you should know," the Zagreb Master said, producing a final document. "The Russian chess legacy project includes detailed plans for the next World Championship cycle. We've already begun implementing influence protocols that will determine the outcome of future title matches." Magnus studied the document, understanding that his own future as world champion might already be predetermined by the conspiracy he had been fighting. "But Magnus," Kasparov whispered urgently, "there might be a way to expose all of this. The Russian chess legacy project documentation contains evidence that could bring down the entire network, but accessing it would require both of us working together." Magnus looked at Anish, understanding that their mission had evolved from investigating corruption to potentially saving competitive chess from complete manipulation. The war for chess's soul had reached its most critical moment.